You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with a special edition episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, I am so excited to be recording this podcast, this special edition podcast episode of Ernestly Speaking in the Vineyard. Yes, Martha's Vineyard on Oak Bluffs, which is a very magical place. And I am very happy to do this episode. This was a special request from so many of you all. Like, I didn't have this planned at all. But every year I've come for the past 4 years, a lot of y'all have messaged me and asked me questions. And, a couple of you all, especially last year, even this year, started being like, can you tell us more about like how this works? Like what the experience is like, and I'm interested in it. And for some people, I'm one of the first, like, I guess, regular people that they know that have gone and have experienced it in a certain way. Because a lot of folks that I've known that have gone to Martha's Vineyard are very moneyed people, a certain class of folk. When I went to Penn for undergrad, I knew people who went, but it's because their parents took them and their great grandfather. And, it wasn't like first generational college students, new people that have, worked hard and have earned their way. This is the non-nepo baby version of this, right? And so I thought to myself, that's so true. Like, I don't know that many people that go to Martha's Vineyard on a regular basis that don't have that type of lifestyle. And for so many people, I was that experience for so many folks who has followed me, that I was like, okay, let's talk about it. So yeah, this is the episode. I'm gonna give you all my pointers and guide. I want to be very clear. I'm not really doing like recommendations. Like, I'm not going to tell you things about everything. I'm going to tell you are things that I think are good. I'm going to provide a nuanced take on experiences that are very general, but it's very focused. And so I want to put my disclaimers out, because disclaimers matter. All right, because I know different people are going to be listening to this, and I want to put out these disclaimers. This is an uncensored guide to Martha's Vineyard for young Black professionals. Now let's break this down. Uncensored. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be very frank and very clear and blunt. And some people might feel like, I don't know. No, this is uncensored. All right. Guide. I'm going to provide explainers and explanations and recommendations and, breakdowns of different areas and sections. So we're going to go through all the different steps to guide you through, planning a trip to Martha's Vineyard if you're interested, right? And what else? Young in this case is 21 to 40 and under, because the way in which I'm going to describe talking about budget and planning and things, this is for my under 40 folks. I'm under 40. I'm in my 30s. Like, this is for us. Black. That's very important, because when we travel, how we experience something and where we experience it at, this is for Black, young Black. And then professionals. That is very key here. So professionals, how I'm defining it in this kind of conversation, is a demographic of people that's working, consistently working, either have a salary or a regular allotment of money, because this is not for the meek. This is for people that, you got some money, you got some revenue, because it's going to require revenue. This is for people that not just have money and a job, but also has a level of status connected to certain networks and affiliations. So if you are in Divine Nine, if you, went to college, you're college educated, there are certain networks and opportunities that become more expansive based on that. Not to say that you can't have a good experience if you are not. It's just a very different perspective. So I want to provide this for folks that are young Black professionals, people who Are you first generation? You are someone who is in a position in your circumstances where you can venture out. You're spending money going to Paris and Cancun and these places, but you want something different, right? This is that framing. So I want to frame this appropriately. Because sometimes people can look at something and say, "Oh, that's nice. Can I book a room tomorrow?" This is not that. This is a very different experience, and which is why I am doing this episode right now, because so much of people that if you are interested and these are goals and you want to go and have the experience, understand it, this is the right time to start thinking about it for next year versus, last minute, oh, Memorial Day, I want to, you know, I want to, go. I made a decision, like it's a trip to Atlantic City. This is not a trip to Atlantic City. This is not that kind of situation, but it all matters. So I want to put that disclaimer out, okay? That matters first. So let's get to it real quick before we even get into it. This costs money, okay? This costs money. That's why I started off by saying professionals. Like, if there, this is just one. It's a very niche thing, If it is not for you, it's not for you. But for folks that I see a lot of folks on the threads, on the social, talking about it and navigating experiences, right? I'm starting off by saying it costs money. How much money? I would say it depends on a lot of variable factors. But what I will say, as a safe ballpark, if you properly plan, and if you also, I would say, so if you have kids, so let me start off by saying this. If you've never been to Martha's Vineyard before, I suggest going with a very best friend, going with maybe a sibling, you a brother, sister duo, a best friend, a spouse, your husband. I go with my husband. That's what we do. You might say, hey, me and my aunt or my mom, maybe you want to go with your mom, but maybe a situation where it's two. I would say start off with two people. If you have kids, this isn't a situation that you should go head in first with kids. I think because this is all adults. So if you have children, I wouldn't say go with your children the first time you go to Martha's Vineyard. That's just my take. I don't have any children, but over the years, have talked to different people. I've heard if you are starting off and you're a young professional, this may not be the trip for you and your baby. You should try to go, especially if it's not a family trip. If it's a family, that's a whole different dynamic. But if I'm talking about my first generation college grads, my folks is, what they would say, at least say the new money people, I would say go with a friend. Don't go alone. I wouldn't go alone. I think you should go with a friend. Go with a friend, go with a best friend, go with, a longtime companion, lover. I wouldn't say let this be your first trip with somebody that you just got with. Like, that might be a little too. This is giving long-term relationship, fiance, husband, wife, significant partner. Like, this is not a thing you just do on this limb, unless you, again, if you rich and you super rich and this is not the podcast episode for you. But I would say go to this with a person you trust, a good friend, somebody that's not cheap, whatever. Just make sure that you go with somebody. And I would not recommend a whole tribe. Now, I know there are people who might do a quartet. So a quartet could work. So if it's 4 people, 4 good friends, like the Lip Brothers, we're very cool, right? I would do a trip to the Vineyard with the Lip Brothers. That, a quartet or something. But you really don't, when you start off with a trip like this, you don't really want to make it. If you've never been before, I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to do a quartet of 4 people and you all are really close 4 friends, like you like sorority, you got some frat brothers, and there's 4 of y'all, and y'all really and y'all travel to things together. Like maybe y'all going to LA together, maybe y'all going to Miami, wherever. That would be the way I would look at this, because that will change up the way costing can be involved. I would say for a couple, if you do your stuff right, I would say $5,000 for a couple, not a piece, together. It could be about $5,000. And that's if you do proper planning. That's if you do the things I'm saying. It's under $5,000. It could be under $5,000. There are people that are doing other things, but I'll get to my logic here. But I would say, you could, this trip, if you do it right and you plan everything, you kind of know what you're trying to do. I would say this trip is 5,000. Now, what I mean by 5,000, I'm saying in this 5,000, travel, lodging, and food and food. I would say travel, lodging, and food, like the main essentials. Travel, lodging, and food, you can get around 5,000 for two people together. Like if y'all together, you can get that. If but again, if you plan earlier, it will go up a little bit. But I would say for two people together, the total cost, lodging, air travel, and food, maybe a little over food, depending on how y'all eat. I would say roughly $5,000. That's what I would say, roughly 5,000. Yes. So I will start off with that. Now, this is if you're on the East Coast. Now, if you live in California and you're trying to come down here, okay, the air travel might go up, but you need to book a little bit earlier then. You need to do all that. So that's very important, okay? But I want to say budget-wise, I would say a little over 5,000 for two people. If you don't value five or whatever K, I wouldn't even, this is, maybe this goes down the road. Maybe this is something you do once you get married, or maybe, couple years from now, but you never know about inflation and things. But I would say the conversation's at 5,000 at the base, before everything else, before all the other things. But I would say come into the mindset with 5,000 on the table. If you don't, and again, not 5,000 apiece, but 5,000. That's just basic right there for a couple. So I would say if it was an individual, if you was going to with friends, I would say 3,000 per friend. Even though that might even not be, I would say 3,000 per friend. And I'm going to tell you about the length of this too, because that length also matters, right? Length matters when it comes to the time in which you should do the trip, in my opinion, right? So yeah, I would say it costs money. That's the budget. Now, who to go with? We talked about it. Bring a friend, quartet. How long? So I think this is what I would say for people who would do 5 to 7 days. It would be this much for a 5 to 7 day trip. I don't think Martha's Vineyard, and I've done multiple days. I've been different times. Martha's Vineyard is not the kind of place you can go for 2 days. Now you could do Atlantic City for 2 days. You could do Vegas for 3 days. This is a type of experience I think is a 5 to 7 day starting. Like if you just came, if this is your first time, I would say 5. But if you continue to go, you might want to expand. That's kind of what I've done. Like when I first came, and how I came to Martha's Vineyard wasn't even on a guide. What happened was I was a part of my book tour for my first book, The Case for Cancel Culture. I did my book tour, and one of the stops was in Martha's Vineyard. It was in Eggerstown, and I had a book signing. And I ended up making a quick trip out of it. I stayed at the Cocoa Inn, which we'll talk about where to stay and things. But I stayed at the Cocoa Inn in Eggerstown, which was a very beautiful, fancy bed and breakfast. And I stayed for 3 days. But the thing about it was so fun. I wish I didn't know. Like, I didn't know, I was like, oh, just be here for a couple of days. So it was like 3 days. But I wish I would have stayed longer. And so I wasn't even planning, like Martha's Vineyard was not even on my like bucket list of places to go and things. I just never, like I had seen the way that people talk about and market. I was like, does this feel like for me? I felt like one of those like, but it felt like Dinner and Blanc, but pretentious. Like Dinner and Blanc is, for those who know about that all white party, we gotta bring your own shit. It felt like Dinner and Blanc, but actually with people with money and pretension. I was like, this just seems like not my element. But it's so not that. And I think there is a perception marketing thing with some folks that treat it like that. And it's not like that. It doesn't have to be. There are people that there's always going to be douches and douchebags and pompous people no matter where you go. But this is not that. And I want to be clear about that. And so, yeah, I went, had this experience. I loved it. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience and so much fun and all that jazz. Now, reason why I'm saying the prices, right? Prices can change depending on the time of the year. For me, I recommend for people who want to have a very Black experience and a very fun, lively element of the Vineyard experience, that the one that you hear about the most to talk about, that is peak summer. So that's late July and in all of August. So this is the rates that I'm telling you about. That would be rates for late July and August. You could go to Martha's Vineyard any time of the year. You know, people go in the fall. People go in the fall. People go in June. Some people do 4th of July. But I will say that those experiences are very different. I can't speak on those experiences. I feel like there's peak Black season because in August, let me tell you why this is very big for Black people. First of all, Oak Bluffs is an area in Martha's Vineyard that has a rich Black history. The Inkwell, you can read all about it. It's a rich history for starters. It's a very Black island, and there's a lot of rich Black history on Martha's Vineyard, but specifically in Oak Bluffs. I'm not going to go through all the history that you can read about it. You can look it up, but there is a purpose for the area, for the land. It's not like this is just random, to be clear. This is like ancestral Black historical land. And that's what makes it magical to me. I feel it. I feel the presence. I can't explain it in full details, but there is a very surreal, magical experience about this space. And people call it their happy place. And I think there's something about it, very ancestral. So that's that. But also the reason why August is a big deal is because there's the African American Film Festival that takes place in August. There's HBCU week. There is the Vine 9 activity for those who are alphas, kappas, zetas, deltas, AKAs, SG Row, iotas, Qs, sigmas. I think I got everybody. And if I didn't, I love you. I love everybody in Divine 9. Every group. But there's programming for that. There's also, for those of you all, of course, college educated, some of you all, if you go to some big schools, some Big Ten schools, there is alumni weekends for you all. So if you went to HBCU, you went to an Ivy League school, you went to a Big Ten school or something, there might be some programming. So part of what also intrigued me and made a fun time of me going is that when I went to Martha's Vineyard for those 3 days, the first time I went during my book tour, there was also, and I ended up linking up with a Black Alumni Association at USC. So I got my master's at USC, University of Southern California. There was a Black Alumni Association there that had an event called Black Trojans on the Vineyard. So they threw a whole event for Black alumni at USC during the time I was doing my book tour and making a stop and being there for 3 days. So it was a cool way to go and have some fun programming and some things there that I didn't even expect. And it's just like all that. So the beautiful thing about this, and that's why I say young Black professionals, is that there's all types of things, connections, and ways that you can connect with people and that come from proximity to education, through, fraternity life and sorority life, through social circles and professional links. Like, there's all kind of interesting things taking place on the island that can allow you to maximize it in a way that doesn't feel so isolated. So that is a major perk. In August, if you're Black, it is for you. There's a lot going on in August. Black film festivals happening, all these special weeks, something's going on. So it's a situation where you want to look at your calendar, call up your alumni association, Black alumni associations, look up your general fraternity offices if you're part of Divine 9, HBCUs, and figure out if you want to coordinate your trip around the time that they're there. So if you went to Hampton, you went to Howard, you went to Morehouse, there's all types of stuff going on. If you were part of your Alpha, Kappa, whatever, even Penn Black Alumni Association do something, during the Vineyard. So if you also want to find a reason to have a connection so you can bump into like-minded people and meet new people or reconnect with certain people that you haven't seen, there could be a fun way to coordinate your trip around that time in August or late July. So consider that if you're trying to figure out when you want to go, if you're a first timer. And that's kind of how I did it. Like, I was like, I'm doing my book tour stop is here. And who's got something going on? USC Black Trojans, they had something. So I was able to go to some events and some parties and some fun stuff while also, doing my thing. So that is also something to consider when you want to, think about booking. But if you don't want to do that personally, let's say you don't have any of those affiliations and you say, well, when should I go, Ernest? Go the first 2 weeks of August. Try to go around the first 2 weeks of August, if you can. Third week is fine too. But the first 2 weeks of August is always popping. Always popping. The first 2 weeks of August, anytime between the first 2 weeks of August, for anybody who just want to just go. And if let's say, look, I'm not trying to go for any work related. I just want to go for fun. Where the people are, where is it popping? I would say the first 2 weeks of August, that's the sweet spot. That is peak Martha's Vineyard summer extravaganza. If you want to be seen on the scene, you want to bump into people, famous people, all things, that is the time. And that's the time when I go. Because also that's the time of Obama's birthday. And Obama, if you don't know, the Obamas are big fans of Martha's Vineyard. Like I was at an event, I was at a restaurant, and Malala Obama was there. So you can bump into people. Spike Lee is always here. Like this is like his second home. So like I was having brunch in the morning, and Spike Lee was just walking by, and people were saying hi and everything. So, it's a lot of celebrities seen. Tay Diggs at a party. Farnsworth Bentley was at a party. There's a lot of celebrities. LaToya Luckett. I saw LaToya Luckett like down the street getting pizza. It's real true fact. Like people are out here. Wes Moore's here. Politicians, everybody. Like there's always sightseeing. You're gonna bump into famous people, and listen, they're regular people. Like. I mean, some of them come with entourage, but some of them just be out and about. You just go, hi, hello, So it's that there's a familiarity, and it's very hella black in a beautiful way. Like it's just a whole beautiful island of cute shops and fun places. And what makes this also special too is that this is a very like non-commercial type of venue, like space, like this island. Like the beautiful thing about it is that it's not filled with a bunch of chains. Like I don't think I've seen a McDonald's or a Papa John's or a Domino's or anything like that. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it may not exist, but I mean everything here is just very much local owned businesses. A lot of black owned businesses, a lot of long time family owned businesses that's been around, but they do. I mean there is a lot. There's a level to which what makes it beautiful is that it's like the fantasy small town, that is safe and homey and friendly and bubbly and, and with real food, and real drinks and real things. So that element of it, I appreciate the charm. I appreciate the lack, like it's not super like, corporate. It's a very fun niche place. Lots of places to get ice cream, like homemade ice cream and chocolates, and places that's been around for like 50, 100 something plus years. Like all of that rich history. It's just so fun. It's a unique experience on that. And these are just some of the unique things I'm thinking out top. But like you have all these incredible black people from different walks of life that are here. And it's very intergenerational. Like you're going to see people that's in their 90s. You're going to see people that's been here for 5,000 years. And you're going to see people that's new couples and cute couples. This is so much black love. It's just, it's a very, like, the vibe alone is just like 20 over 10, highly recommended. Just the vibe of it. And everybody's just relaxed because you're on an island and there's no rush. And so somebody that lives in Philly, where everything's like a hustle bustle, train stations, all that kind of stuff, this is just a beautiful, like when I tell you vacation, like this feels like vacation. Because sometimes vacations don't really feel like vacation, you know what I mean? But this really feels like vacation. Like I can be in a line and it doesn't feel like the line is long because you're just having small talk and conversation with like cool people, and you're like in this long line. You could be in a long line at night waiting for a great slice of pizza or ice cream. And normally I'm not a line person, but the fun thing is the line itself has its own fun. Like it don't even feel like it's like a line. You're like talking to people that you want to talk to, and everybody's very friendly and everyone's cool and humor. And like it just, all of it is an experience. The line is experience sometimes, like when it's hot. The beach is an experience. The walking to and from places is like everything's an experience in its own way. And I'm not trying to like commodify like in a blavity black kind of way, but like, but like it's just such a very pleasant time. And I've gone like 4 consecutive years. And it's safe. Like you don't see the police. Like I don't think I've really seen the police anywhere. I know they're around clearly, but like I don't think I've seen a large police presence. And that's what's like mentally refreshing. Like you're just like late at night, like the parties are on Circuit Avenue, which we'll talk about, but you can go outside, right? And at nighttime, it's like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, and there's a bunch of young black kids like having fun and chilling. Without their parents. Everybody's like, oh, there's a curfew and this. They're just out walking and laughing and having fun and eating pizza and getting, hamburgers till 1 o'clock. And just being fun, being kids, and not even tripping. Everybody's cool. I don't see people fighting. No one's like drunk and cutting up. Everybody knows how to act. It's refreshing. Like, I haven't seen a fight or a bad incident at a bar. I'm not saying things don't happen, but in my 4 years, there's been like no like ratchery. Not that I've seen. Everybody's like well behaved and act like they got some sense. And, things are pretty chill. I will say that's what it is. Like, it's almost like they say it can't happen. Oh, no, it has. Maybe that's why I am the way I am sometimes when I'm like, I've seen better, because I have. You'll come here and you'll go, oh, wow. Things can be great. You can have long lines. You can have a well-organized party. People know how to act. Gentlemen, ladies, everybody. And so inclusive, very queer friendly, it's just very, like, it's a very beautiful place. So that just trying to paint that picture of just what the feels are like. Like, this is not a place to come and feel like tourist guide. Don't come here with this. This is not Hawaii. Like, come here and relax. Come here to relax. There's a lot of other events and things like that, and I'll talk about, some of the other aspects of the networking parts of it. But essentially, this is a place to wine dine, I'll start with that. Now, as far as travel goes, because this is also key. Okay, people have different thoughts about traveling. I will say, because I'm telling you it's two people, I think the smart move, because you're new and you haven't been here, and this is for my first timers, do not go by plane. Go by plane, okay? I always take the plane. Take the plane. Now, if you're a pro, I don't recommend driving, because if you drive, you have to then catch the ferry, and that's the experience. You got to put your car on the ferry. You got to take the ferry. It's like a boat that takes you, because this is an island, y'all. So there's no way to get to the island unless you either take a boat, aka a ferry, down, or you fly directly on the island. And so there are some direct flights through American. Other places might have them, but I ride American. There are direct flights from American to Martha's Vineyard. So you can get a direct flight to Martha's Vineyard from Philadelphia. Now, here's a pro tip. Just want to put you on a pro tip. If it just so happens that the flight gets delayed or the flight gets canceled and you still need to get to Martha's Vineyard and you don't got a night to spare or a day to spare, ask for a flight to Nantucket or a flight to Hanassas. Those are two, like, their own. So Cape Cod is the big island, and Cape Cod has multiple islands. There's Martha's Vineyard, there's Nantucket, there's Hanassas, there's some other places. But if you, there's Provincetown as well, but that's a little further. Try to ask for a flight to Nantucket or Hanassas, and then what you can do then is take a ferry. And ferry rides, depending on the situation, ferry rides can get you, some of them are more than others, maybe $40-$60, if you're earlier, it could be cheaper than that, but you could just take the ferry, and it's like a high speed ferry, because it's like, you're not putting your car and your stuff on it. So you're taking it, it'll take you there, and you get there in like an hour by ferry. If you're in a situation where you tight, like let's say you took the plane, there was a delay or whatever, or they might cancel the flight or something might happen with going directly to Martha's Vineyard, just ask to go to Nantucket or Hanassas. And if push come to shove, Provincetown, P-Town. But try not, P-Town is an option. You can get to P-Town. You can get to Martha's Vineyard through P-Town. You just take a ferry, but that's a longer ferry ride. Versus if you do Hanassas or Nantucket, it's roughly about an hour. And so it's a little bit of an easier situation. Now, if you're coming from Philly or anywhere directly by plane, if you're on the East Coast, those plane rides are very short, like very short. Like, if you're doing direct from there, it's like maybe an hour and 15 minutes flights. So these are all reasonable. But I would recommend a flight, to be honest. I don't think you should drive, because if you don't know how to get around, and I will also add about Martha's Vineyard, people talk about, okay, driving, not to drive, to drive. Honestly, if you stay in the place that you want to stay in, like if you're in, like we're in Oak Bluffs, right? That is the Black area. That's where most of the restaurants and places we go to have fun. And I'm going to talk about Oak Bluffs because again, this is for the young Black professionals. Oak Bluffs, in my opinion, that particular part of the island in Martha's Vineyard, because these are sections. So in Martha's Vineyard, there's Vineyard Haven, there's Eggerstown, and there is Oak Bluffs. Oak Bluffs is in my opinion the blackest section, has the most Black history, most Black-owned businesses over there. It's popping. Then you got Eggerstown, which is still Black. Not no. Let me clarify. There's more white people, but there are Black folks that go to Eggerstown. But that's a little bit more high end as far as like things are more expensive. The restaurants are more grand. Okay, they're grander restaurants. They're so that's why I say like the price range is very like, so my $5,000 budget, I would argue, is if you are mixing and matching your dining experiences. So you're not one night you might do you might go to some cute, tavern type of bar restaurant, which is still good food. All the food in Martha's Vineyard, for the most part, is reasonable. Some places are, a little more than others, or food or whatever. But, if you want to mix and match, because it is the kind of place where, look, one night you want to say, look, I want to try these lobster rolls and have some clam chowder and I want to eat like the locals. And that's easy to do. And then one night you might say, look, I want to be fancy. I want to do a steakhouse. I want to go to a really nice waterfront dinner situation. And then one night you might, mix and match it. So there's always different ranges of like experiences. And so I would say if you are trying to do an Eggerstown, opulent, get me away from the colored folk energy, which you shouldn't be doing, that's problematic. But if that was your energy, then Eggerstown, I would say you in the $7,000 range if you trying to do the whole Eggerstown experience. Now, I stayed in Eggerstown for 3 days with Mr. Johnson, my husband, and we did that. And that wasn't that bad because we also went to Oak Bluffs, and that's when we realized next time we come, we want to be in Oak Bluffs. It wasn't that Eggerstown wasn't nice. I mean, it's gorgeous. Eggerstown is very nice, right? But it's also it's not as diverse, and it's giving baby Hampton energy a little bit, But it is diverse, but it's you get what I'm saying. It's like we're there, but we're not all the way in there. Oak Bluffs, baby, that's us. And so, for example, you're not going to go in Eggerstown at many bars and spots that's going to play hip hop music and R&B music. Like, they're not going to have, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be, Jamaican night or 90s night. Like, they're not going to have all those things. Maybe a couple of us might have a pop-up event or something, but you're not going to find that type of vibe in Eggerstown. It's very much upscale, fun. It's cute for a night, right? Like, my husband and I went to dinner the other night. We went to Eggerstown for dinner, and it was cute. It was cute little. We wanted to get away from some of the liveliness, and we wanted to get a little different change of scenery. You can mix and match it, right? And I would say, for me, I wasn't crazy about driving. I don't recommend a car unless you got a large family. But again, this is for 2 people. This is a couple. I don't think you need to have a car. If you're there. If you stay at Oak Bluffs, you don't need a car. You can Uber. There's some good Ubers. Compare price between Uber and Lyft, though. I will recommend that. Compare the prices between Uber and Lyft. Don't just get Uber or get one. Compare the prices before you do. But a lot of stuff is walkable. You can really walk. We do a lot of walking. This is the most walkable township municipal I've had. I live in Philly. They say Philly's very walkable, but Martha's Vineyard is a different type of walkable because everything's like scenic route. So like walking in nature, like it just, again, I might be doing the most, but I'm just saying like the scenic route, there's a lot of scenic route. You can jog, you can walk, whatever, but just the beauty. Like we're in a beautiful, like I love that it gets super dark at night, like to the point where you can see the stars. Like it's a real night, no city lights, none of that rah-rah. It just takes me back home to the South. But like very nice scenic route. So I do recommend, I mean, you can do some great walking and it's not that bad. The walks are not that bad. Sometimes it get hot. It get a little hot sometimes. But there's a nice breeziness too. So I would recommend, I wouldn't say get a car. Don't get a car. Just take the flight, and then Uber and walk and things. Now, if you're in Oak Bluffs, a lot of Oak Bluffs is walkable. But if you're going to Eggertown or you're going to Vineyard Haven, Now that's when you're gonna need to, you're gonna have to Uber there because those are like a distance, but not too long. I mean, there's like 20-minute rides and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so those are like the logistical things that comes to mind. So part of this too is like you got Oak Bluffs, you got Edgartown, Vineyard, Haven. What's the difference? Oak Bluffs, hella black, lots of small shops, lots of mixed income dining experiences. Very much you can go somewhere and spend $200 for dinner with you and a boo, or you can go somewhere and have a lovely brunch for under $50 and have one of the best brunches of all time. Like the range here, quality and all of the price is very subjective. Price does not determine taste here. The cheapest things are some of the best things on the island. I would just start with that. Some of the cheapest things, the most inexpensive things, are some of the best things. Like I would say, I went somewhere, got a $4 slice of pizza at Giordano's over there. That was probably the best slice of pizza I had in a long time. It was $5. But I went somewhere and spent $35 on lobster roll and was underwhelmed. So like money pricing doesn't necessarily define quality here. I would say stick to places or go to places that are tried and true, right? Like tried and true. So places I'm thinking of is like No Man's is a really great hot spot for happy hour. And let me clarify happy hour real quick. Let me get y'all right before y'all get hyped. Massachusetts law does not allow for you to lower the cost of cocktails and drinks. So there is no happy hour bar. There are food specials at certain places, but there is no happy hour bar. So you don't reduce prices of drinks. They can't reduce them here in Massachusetts. So there's no actual happy hour. So if you go somewhere, there's not going to be no drink specials. If the drink is $17 here, it's $17 there. So every price is like set regardless of the circumstance. So just to put that out there. But No Man's is a great spot to get drinks. Their drinks are less expensive compared to other places, but bigger portions, better bartenders, different vibes like that. So I do recommend No Man's. It's fun, but it's very packed. Fridays is a turn up, line dancing, all the music. It's outdoor party, day party energy. It's chill. It's fun. There is also Biscuits, which is where I went to brunch. Black owned, I believe. If not, very black friendly. It's very great breakfast, very inexpensive. Like you got entrees on there. Like most of their entrees are like around $15, $10 to $15. Like I got a whole breakfast wrap for like $13 with avocado inside, with avocado, baby. Okay. And had a huge Belgian like strawberry waffle situation for like $10. Like very inexpensive. Like their orange juice, their freshly squeezed orange juice is like $4. Like this is a very like, but it's very popular and it's a smaller space. And so, if you want to go, you might have to get up early in the morning, get in the line. It's a little wait, depends on how early you go. But they move very fast. They move very well. It's a very good breakfast spot. Ice cream, there's different ice cream spots. Mad Martha's is very popular, but my favorite on Oak Bluffs is this place called Ben and Gills. I think it's called like a candy shop, and it's right next to Mad Martha's. And there's a lot of ice cream places. Ice cream is some people's like they don't know the differences. I kind of do. I'm an ice cream connoisseur, so I recognize differences. But there's lots of ice cream shops. But Mad Martha's is very popular. You can try it. Start there, and then if you're like, this was okay. Try Colonial, or is it Colonial? No, it's called Carousel. Try Carousel. And then there's this place called Ben and Gills across the street. They're pretty good too. Another main staple, Backdoor Donuts. Iconic. Backdoor Donuts is a spot. They make donuts. But they're known for their apple fritters. If you're into apple fritters, they're very good. Very inexpensive. Their donuts are very like reasonably priced. Like $3 or whatever, cheap. Some of them are cheaper than maybe, but like they're fun stuff. There's also, which one? Fat Ronnie's. It's a burger spot. They make these like really good burgers. Like Fat Ronnie's is like, what is this? Like, this is great. They make these really great burgers. It's a burger spot, fast and efficient. What makes them fun is that number one, their burgers are like also very inexpensive, like reasonably priced. Like these big burgers, they're like $12, $14. What makes them really cool is that they're open till 1 o'clock at night, like 1 a.m. And they are express. Like you go and get your stuff, you know? And what makes them really cool, they also do other things outside of burgers. Like they even have, I think, vegan meat, vegan options and stuff too. So if you're like one of those folks into dietary restrictions and things, they also have some other options. But what makes them very special, and what I will not forget about them, is that they have an unlimited barrage of toppings that are free. Like you can add whatever you want on that damn burger. Like it's like a whole station. Like I mean, all kind of stuff. They got guac and they got regular red onions, pickled onions, salsa, and pineapple. It was like, what is the pineapples for? But like, there's all types of toppings that you can put on the burger that are customary. So you don't pay extra for it. You know, you can put whatever you want, and they don't charge you extra. So that, I love that aspect of it. It was so impressive. But that is a very good burger spot. That if you just want to, like, again, if you want to do a cute little lunch, a little quick little grub, or you want to do that for dinner, that would be a fun spot to check out. Donovan's is right next to a place called Nancy's. This is like, if you're in, this is all, I'm talking about Oak Bluffs here. I should talk about housing next, because I didn't even talk about the type of housing. I don't know, I'm all over the place. I'm so hype about this. But like, so there's a river shore, like a dock area where people get off the ferry and things. There's a whole strip. There's a lot of restaurants and bars and even nightlife situations up there, right? Donovan's is a very hot, popular spot. There's a man there that makes this, he's a black man who makes this cocktail called the Dirty Banana. It is a very fun slushy, like I can't even describe, it's like a very boozy dessert type of cocktail, but it's frozen and blended, and it's a treat. That's the way I would describe it. It's a boozy, delicious treat of a cocktail. It's fun. It's called a Dirty Banana, and that's at Donovan's, which is right next to Nancy's, under Nancy's, which is that hotspot area. Other places to eat that I recommend. There is Martha's Vineyard Chowder House, an institution, very, very good. They have the best lobster roll, one of the best lobster rolls. Mr. Johnson says it's the best. He likes that lobster roll. Now, that lobster roll is very good. They also have clam chowder. If you want to have a clam chowder experience, that's pretty good as well. I told you about No Man's, pretty chill leisure spot to drink and party. There's also Jimmy C's Pan Pasta. I love this place because you can go there and they make a big old pot of pasta, and it's enough to serve 2 people to eat. And it's homemade pasta and the toppings, and it's like a staple institution. Just great and fun. Very inexpensive, but fun. Bangkok Thai, one of the most underrated Thai restaurants I've ate at. In Martha's Vineyard, a classic. They got Thai restaurant prices like you in Chinatown. Like entree $16, $18, and just ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. And so, you know, you mix and match your eating experience. And now the Sweet Life is another classic. Now that's a more upscale restaurant in Oak Bluffs. Great wine, great seafood, lots of great seafood options and steak and all the things. If you want to be a little bit more fancier and have a nice little date night energy type of thing, we're going to go there for dinner on Saturday night. It's going to be lovely. We're going to have that for dinner on Saturday night. But there's a lot of fun little opportunities and things to make of these experiences. Like you can do so much. You can do so much there. And as far as food goes, other places, 11 Circuit is a club. So we're going to talk about Circuit Avenue. Circuit Avenue is the best way to describe Circuit Avenue at night without the drunkenness and bad behavior. It's like the Martha's Vineyard version of Bourbon Street. It's a very lively night, a night on Circuit Avenue. Now, Circuit Avenue is all day, like there's shops and things, but at nighttime, Circuit Avenue comes alive, okay? It comes alive. The spot that makes Circuit Avenue, like the gem of nightlife there, is 11 Circuit. That is a club. That's a nightclub that turns to a bar, club, and everything. And so a lot of energy is coming out. The music is playing out into the streets, and that sets the tone for everything else going up and down the circuit. It is a night. I had a good time with my homegirls, and we had a time, okay? There's a lot going on now at the Vineyard, but Circuit Avenue is that strip. That's that main street economic corridor. That's like the main vessel to which your Oak Bluff experience is. Like if you ain't on Circuit Avenue, you wasn't at the Vineyard. I mean, that's just, you wasn't there, you know? So it's very lovely. It is a very lovely time there. There is also other things. There's so much other stuff going on. But yeah, that is, I will say, as far as like the spots. Now, let me get back to bookings because I know a lot of, I kind of buried the lead there with bookings and things because I'm all over the place. Now, bookings and things like that. First of all, the question becomes, what are you trying to do? Hotel, cottage, or beach house, right? Location, 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 and timing matters. Now, hotel. Hotels, there are hotels. Hotels are, they tell you per night availability. Hotels are up and down. It's hard to get hotels. Hotels are expensive. But, you got to figure out which hotel you want to stay at, and bookings open up very quickly, but then bookings lock in very quickly. If you're trying to get a hotel, you need to start looking on Martha's Vineyard like yesterday, aka now. Start calling hotels, look at hotels that's there, and figure out which hotel you want to stay in and start booking now. Like you would have to book now. Now, to be clear, I don't think you pay anything up front, but you're making deposits. But you need to start booking now, like ASAP, because the openings are going to start. Hotel openings, like always, start around this time. So call these hotels, ask them to put you on a wait list, figure out the day they're going to release their rooms. But that's when you want to do that kind of thing. You want to release your stuff now, and you want to start doing that if you're really interested in a hotel. Hotels can cost. Now, if you're sharing a room, that's a good situation. So that's why I say if you got a boo or it's just you and you could really do some. The trip could be a little different if you play that right with hotels. But you really have to do it. Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I don't think there is any. I don't know if Oak Bluffs, because again, the commercialism of it all, their answer, like, I don't know if they have any Hilton type of situations or Marriott situations. I don't know. Like, I'm with Marriott and stuff. I don't know if they do. Maybe Eggerstown might, because that's a little bit more ups, because they might have some chains or something, but I don't know. I've never done a hotel situation. Oh, well, I did a bed and breakfast. So I did the Coco Inn in Eggerstown. Call those bed and breakfast spots. Call some of those like niche little spots if that's what you want to do. Hotels vary, but there are hotels, and there are some that will give you some decent rates at last minute. So if you really are a hotel girly, like you like, I gotta have a hotel, start calling and booking that stuff now, making those deposits now for that. Now, if you are like, look, maybe you got that quartet like I was talking about. There are some rentals for some rooms. Now, again, if you got, like, I have a cottage. Now, I have a cottage now, so full disclaimer, I'm not in the game anymore. I have a cottage. You like, look at him. He's giving what? I have a cottage, so I'm out the conversation now. But what I will say is that you can rent cottages. You can go on Vrbo. Vrbo is what I used to use before I got fortunate into a very sweet situation. But Vrbo, I highly recommend. Vrbo is really good on Martha's Vineyard. I don't know about Airbnb. I don't really do Airbnb, but I know people do. But I would say Vrbo has been pretty good. They got insurance. They have all the little things, the lock-in stuff. You can make deposits. There's like a payment plan. You don't even have to do, when I was using Vrbo, it's very good. I recommend Vrbo. And I think a lot of responsible people who have properties on there are very responsible. They're very, good, and things like that. So I would say, yeah, because the first year, did I do Vrbo? Also, too, here's another one I recommend. Now, I'm going to put you on some game. Oak Bluffs has a spot called the Island Inn. They are very big. They're like a massive, like, complex of like hotel rooms and spaces. They're fully furnished, and I like that about them. Like, they're furnished with furniture. They got for refrigerators, microwaves. Like, they got you like you in a little house, and it gives you the house vibe without, Island Inn. I would say it's not super luxurious, but it's not bad. It's a good makeshift, and price wise, it's a good price for the island. So I would say try to get the Island Inn and contact somebody at the Island Inn and try to get a situation. And what I like about them is that you can rent out certain rooms that have multiple bedrooms, got living rooms, got futons and stuff. So there's all kind of ways you get creative with the Island Inn. So don't sleep on them. I would recommend the Island Inn as another option. And they're in Oak Bluffs as well. And they're actually right next to No Man's. So that's their major perk. They're right next to No Man's, which means you are right where the party's at.
So, because the thing about No Man is that those lines get really long to that party on Friday, those day parties. You are right next there. You're like there. So you can pull up at 4:30 and be seated and not have to worry about the craziness, because some people have to come all over to try to get to that party and it can be a little chaotic. But you're right there. You're right next to the where the action is at as far as that venue. And they got good breakfast and food, very affordable, inexpensive breakfast food, lunch options and stuff. And so that's a major plug. And there's also Beach House. Now, Beach House, y'all, I don't recommend a beach house if you just get in here. Okay, you gotta walk before you fly. Okay. Um, Now if you want a beach house, this might be the wrong podcast episode for you. But beach houses, there are beach houses too. That me, I'm not. I just for me. I have never been crazy about the beach house situation because one, it's very expensive, but two, I just don't need it, right? I don't have any people. I'm not hosting any people. I don't, I've never seen it for myself. Now, cottage. Cottage is nice. I would if you can get a good cottage, you could rent a cute cottage, like the small cute cottages for like a couple or a 2-bedroom or something. That is a fun situation, but see, the way the cottage work is you have to be here for at least 5 to 7 days. Like they're not going to rent you a cottage out for just a day or two. Like if that's why I recommend if you are going to come, like that's when it starts. That's when, because also rates change too. Like the longer you stay, the cheaper the day is for some people if they lease it out. Versus if you are here for like 2 days, they might still give it to you, but they're gonna make you pay $600. They're gonna make you compete with like last minute hotel rates and stuff, and then you're spending $600 a night to be somewhere where real rap you could have been there for 370 a night. So I would say if you do the cottage, I recommend the cottage rental if you can. Hotels are not bad. You might start with a hotel and then get your way through it. But the reason why I say cottage, and I'm just biased because I have one, I'm here now, but it's because you have literally your own space. And a lot of times these cottages are like cut off from like all of the like loud noise and things. And so it's nice to be somewhere where you can have the home feel, especially if you get a furnished one, right? Where it's not loud. You can also you can cook, you can host, you can bring people over if you want to. You can host people, you can bring people over. You got that ability to cook, you got that ability just to be really, lay back. You could turn, because in a hotel, it's people. You're sharing communal space, and it's also a tighter space, because you're kind of limited to like a unit, a bedroom or something. Island Inn is a little different though. I would recommend Island Inn as a nice middle ground between that though. I would say they're a little bit more, expansive in that regard. But yeah, I would say do that. Now, like I said before, if you are trying to do that, you should book ASAP. Like you should start looking at stuff now because yeah. And remember, most of this is a deposit. So if you can, try to lock in something and make a deposit and just make payments as you get closer and closer to your, to the summer. So that's the one thing I would recommend up front. Like try to get a place early, like know where you want to go and know when you want to go. Because that's important too. And you can do price comparisons on some of these places if they have availability. So I would make that point. Now moving on now that we've gotten past some of those like heavier logistics and fun things, I want to say this before I get into, no, actually, let me talk about free things real quick before I get into culture in that part, because that does matter. That do matter. Free things that don't cost, but are timeless, endless, and worthy. At 8 a.m. on Inkwell Beach, which is the official beach of Martha's Vineyard. I'm sorry, the official beach of Oak Bluffs is the Inkwell. That's the name of the beach, Inkwell Beach. There is 8 a.m. yoga. If you want to have a yoga experience, it's free. There 8 a.m., pull up your mat, bring your towel, whatever. And there's 8 a.m. yoga for free with a yoga instructor and everything. It's kind of cool. Also, there is this lovely experience called, well, depending on who you talk to, it's called the Polar Bears. At 7:30 a.m., pretty much every day of the summer, they meet at Inkwell in the water at 7:30 a.m. They, do aerobic exercises and things in the water. It's a whole experience. I can't tell all the details, but it is a very magical experience. and it's free, but it's life-changing. It's one of your it's called polar bears. And you can actually Google this. Put in Martha's Vineyard, Oak Bluff polar bears and read the history of this. There's a huge Black history. This is a tradition that's been going on for 80 years. And the water, people say, is cold, but you get used to it really quickly. But it's so fun. It's so different. And I will tell you, doing that in the morning, made my whole day, changed my whole day. I went Friday morning at 7:30, and I went, and my husband went in the past, but I would be like, oh, that's too early. But it was worth it. And it's so fun. Again, a fun experience. For all of my religious folks, my church people, there is Union Chapel, a very important historical Black church, a very rich history of that church. It was in the 1800s. It's been there. It's on stilts. It is very rich. If you're into Sunday service, they have a Sunday service. All are welcome. You should go. It's fun. It's a very beautiful Black experience. There's also the beach in general. Listen, if you want to get a tan, for those who want that tan experience, nothing beats that damn beach. I don't know how that beach is situated the way it is, but that is a beach, and a fun beach, a beautiful beach, a beach where you're going to get that tan that you dream of. If that's what you want, you will get your heart's desire. It is perfect. It is a beautiful beach. The water, the sand, everything about it is just it's a very good beach. Very clean too. And also, fun fact, they filmed Jaws in Martha's Vineyard, by the way. So that movie Jaws was filmed there over 50 years ago. It was filmed in Martha's Vineyard. Fun fact. I don't know about any sharks, but there's a lot of shark memorabilia. And then also, just random, I know there's other free things I could talk about, but I would also add too that there is a lot of beautiful scenic routes, like bike riding, just natural walking, like walking and just hiking. There's just a lot of that is underestimated here that I just want to just put out there. I just want to put that out there. It's a lot of that here. So that's fun. A lot of day walking and frolicking. Okay, so now this interesting part. How to prioritize your time here? Is it work? Is it leisure? Is it both? Is it a mix? It's been a debate that I've been seeing a lot of people having on social media. A lot of people on social media are debating, what am I, is it, should I be here networking and meeting a rich man or a rich girl, or should I lock in and get a job here or meet this person? So, I'll start with this. For a lot of powerful, influential people that are here, that you will meet, a lot of them who are here to unwind. They're really here to relax and just have fun. I will tell you from experience, a lot of people you're going to see, I bumped into the former news president of ABC News, Black woman, incredible journalist, extraordinary media exec. And she was just casually chilling. And I was like, I'm just going to say hi. And I just said hi. I wasn't, hey, this is my name, Ernest. I introduced myself, but I didn't, wasn't doing that much. There's a lot of people up in this. There's a lot of money on this damn island. And I think what I've learned, and I've seen other people learn, and what I've heard is it's cool to see a person, but people are here to relax and to have a good time and to just be and just, this is not that. And that is not this, just to be clear. Now, that being said, there has been an increase, depending on how you feel about it, good or bad, in, folks creating professional networking types of gatherings and events and things. The locals and the regulars that come here are kind of they don't want this to be Essence Fest, which I can understand what that means. They don't want this to be a space where folks hyper commercialize it. Oh, I want to sell something. I want to promote myself. I'm here to set up a booth. I want to do this is a place where everybody here is somebody. Everybody here matters. Everybody here is doing something. Everybody's great. Let's just have fun. And it's not to say that you can't connect with people, but that's not this. So if you're coming to meet somebody to promote your brand and promote and sell something, please don't come. That's my opinion. I mean, you can come, you can do what you want to do, but that I just want you to understand that if people kind of look at you a certain way, or kind of I'm like annoyed or like, ugh, that is a thing too, by the way. It is a cultural thing I've noticed there. Don't feel weird because you're being weird. Like in some ways, like read the room. Read the room. I'm going to say that again. Read the room, people. Sometimes it's okay to go out and relax and not have to feel like you got to be on. This is a place where you don't have to be on. You're with other Black people. You're with your people. Everybody's making it. You ain't got to read your resume 5,000 times. You don't got to be that person. Go and have a good time. You meet some cool people and naturally a conversation strikes up. Let it happen. So I will tell you, naturally, I don't know, I'm a magnet for I'm a social magnet. Like, I don't know. People just look at me and they see conversation and they might be correct. But I've gone to some things and I'm just sitting back and I'm chilling, I'm talking and just having leisure conversation. And someone say, "Oh, where did you go to school?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went to Penn." And then you find some connecting the dots and you realize somebody you went to school with, you right next to the beach with they dad. And you're like, "Oh, damn, your dad is here. I'm right next to your dad." You know, where your big ass at? Like, where your big head ass at? Like, stuff like that. Like, you bump into people and it's stuff, it's like fun, you know? And so it's casual stuff like that. We have these, random encounters, and it just becomes change. Like, I've bumped into old classmates I went to Penn with. I've bumped into folks that I ain't seen in 5,000 years. I bumped into somebody who owned a company that I used to work for, and it was like, "Oh, damn, I never met you, but I used to always get your letters." So there's a lot of those encounters where you can meet people through that casualness and spark a conversation. And then sometimes what happens is people will say, "Oh, let's connect after our trips, after vacation." I met an exec at a bank that did not even realize that, well, lovely, like I bumped into, I was going to Polar Bears, walked across just to see what the yoga people were doing, and met this lovely young girl who just was like, "Oh, she listens to the podcast." And did not realize her mom listened to me. I never met them before. And sure enough, there was a connection that was made. But like, I say all this to say, you just never know, right? And so there's always those natural, organic things that happen. Let it be natural. Let it be organic. Let it just be just a cool, casual encounter that doesn't feel like you walking around putting out a bunch of products and telling people to, like, let it be natural. Because there's going to always be what I call the hard networking, like the corporate force networking, but there's also the very much natural networking. And I think I've gotten really good at the subtle natural networking where I just kind of it just naturally happens. Because people, if you're talking to somebody, especially there, people are going to naturally introduce themselves in a very casual way and folks will, but it will be natural. So there is those opportunities where there will be natural connections made. And if you're out and about and you're in certain places, it will come naturally. However, there are spaces, there are things, there are programs and people throwing things and, they're all around town. So that do happen as well. The lesson I've learned the most about a trip like Martha's Vineyard, I don't overplan. So if you're a first-time person that's coming, of course, try to hit up a museum. Martha's Vineyard Museum is very beautiful, rich history. It's worth the trip, right? But don't try to ultra plan this. If you can. Like, I've learned that was my pro tip. Like, I didn't have an itinerary to do something the whole time. My itinerary is pretty much like Mr. Johnson and I made reservations for dinner. We only did dinner reservations. Because I do think if you can, try to get dinner reservations as early as you can, as much as you can, because that can be a lot, like trying to wait and roll up and wait and stuff. So if you want to avoid lines as much as possible, try to actually make a restaurant reservation at your spots. And I would say the best time to make those reservations, if you are going in August, start looking at restaurants you want to go to by Memorial Day, because they'll start opening up dates and stuff. So after Memorial Day, start making those restaurant reservations after Memorial Day for August. Start planning ahead. That's what we did. Because when you get the week of and the week before, it gets a little harder to make reservations. Not to say it's not possible, it's just it gets a little harder at that point. Most of these restaurants are open table and resi, so just the heads up. Look for resi in restaurants and stuff. But don't try to overplan. There's a lot of spontaneity that comes up at the Vineyard. That has been the thing, like each time, right? I can't tell you how I will just walk to a bar, bump into somebody I know or somebody recognizes me, and then this is a natural, what you got going on tonight? And this, that, and then people just put you on. They'll just invite you somewhere. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you find, next thing you know, you find yourself at a fancy luncheon, at 11 o'clock in Eggerstown, having the most divine clam chowder and just, doing your big one, right? So there's always an element to which allow for there to be room in your planning in your day for something pop up. Like I got invited to a cookout with some alphas that was just like they hit me up. They say, "Hey, Frat," and I was like, "Oh, what?" They said, "What you doing tomorrow?" I was like, nothing. What's going on? Oh, we got to cook out at 5. So you just stuff like that. You just can fall into like random parties and events and things that you don't even know that's coming. So I would just say lock in dinner. Commit to going to the beach, of course, and then just enjoying and eat your way through the town. Like one of the things we did and we do is we just eat our way. We'll go to the beach. We bump into friends, meet up with them for drinks, find ourselves at a gathering. But like that's kind of how it works. So don't try to come in heavy with plans because there's going to always be surprise things that's going to happen, events and gatherings and turn-ups and things that you didn't even know about. And then you just find yourself having a whole week planned that wasn't even on your agenda. And every time I've come to Martha's Vineyard, it's always been like that. So don't feel the need to have a very aggressive agenda. Like, yeah, if you want to go to a museum or historical site and things, that's cool. If your alumni association is having a meetup or a gathering of sorts, definitely go to that. Because one thing about that is that you will then meet other people that might know some things, some alum that might have business or something connected. And then you can, kind of build your itinerary off of that. So this is the type of place where you don't have to have that many heavy plans because plans will pop up, things will change in a heartbeat and the whole turn-up will be different. So I definitely will say that much. That's a very big thing I've observed. And then lastly, wrapping this all up, the overall culture, I would say this is just a space to really imagine what, I know this word is controversial, but the way I'm looking at it is Black excellence, but not in the pretentious, cheesy way. There are people who go to Martha's Vineyard that are obnoxious as hell, snobby, all the things. There are some people like that. And there's a level of a societal gatekeeping they have towards what type of person should be here and who should be here. And there's folks that are snobs that really, in many ways, like to make this feel unattainable, inaccessible to someone like you might be listening that might have wanted to know what it would be like. I'm here to tell you that it is very possible, and that what you think, that if you think it's a movie, if you think that Martha's Vineyard is like some movie with Lynn Whitfield, and y'all know who I'm talking about, in some role where she's the evil, bougie Black woman in some film, insert most like 50% of her films. And you think it's that energy when a bunch of people like that. Like, and then, one of my friends, I'm not even gonna name her, but she's probably listening. She always, like, anytime she mimics things, she always puts an accent or whatever. I'm just like, why do you have to say it like that? That's not, anyway. But there's people like, oh, the Vineyard, that there's always people like that. Even when I went to Penn, it was like, there's always gonna be those obnoxious type of people. But honestly, that's not the overall experience, really. It's a bunch of fun, but it's a bunch of Black people that are just having fun and relaxing and connecting. And I think at a time like this, we deserve those things. And we gotta put a label on it. Oh, luxury, soft life, all that shit. Whatever you want to fucking call it. I'm just calling it relaxation. I'm calling it vacay. This is a wonderful place, a beautiful place, and it's worth it. And if I would have never stumbled upon it through an opportunity to, promote my first book, I would have never gone because of so many of the people, especially people from Philly that I know of, when they've always treated it very like exclusive and very like cliquey. And there's always going to be elements of that no matter where you go. I'm not going to front like there's not that energy in some cases, but that's life, But I will say that so many people I remember, folks that I saw that I knew go, but I look back and the people that were going were people who've been going forever and families and It's just, that's a different world. And that does exist here. There's that kind of wealth and that energy, but so much of it is not that. And I think those people really give it a bad rap. And so when I see folks that talk about it or project, I just want people to know, one, what is your intentions? What are your intentions? Is your intentions to recreate New Orleans, create an Essence Fest experience where you want 1,000 panels and talk events and things like that, and you want to be, exposed to a lot of things? I mean, sure. Now, I will say this. Well, no, I'll say that for the end. But what I will say is that there's a lot of people that are really, that's they're into. Like, they want to come in, they want this massive turn up. This is a place that, what I think I love about it is that as a millennial and somebody who is often exposed to like everything having to be a turn up in a wild, drunken night, I appreciate the stillness and liveliness of this, like the very relaxed and reflective time. I spend a lot of great time meditating, reflecting. Yes, there's fun, there's social, but I just love the leisureness of this all. And I love it for us as Black people, because I think we don't get enough spaces to just be at peace. Like, I worry so less here. Like, I don't really worry about much here. Like, everything is so, like, I just unwind. And it allows you to, and it forces you to in some ways. And I think if you allow yourself, if that's what you want. Some people may not want that. Some people want lights, camera, action. They want the drama. They want the wildness. This is not that. And there's places for that. If you want the Atlantic City energy, you want the Vegas, that's different. But I like this because nothing can replicate this for me. Nothing replicates it. This is a very, like, I vacation different places. We went to Disney World last month. But this is just so different. So different. And I love it. Lastly, I want to talk about fashion real quick and shopping. There is a really great grocery store called Reliable Market. Shout out to them, if you want to just buy things and snacks. There is some stuff for you commercial snack eaters. There is some great fashion. So the Black Dog, you might see a lot of Black Dog, like that Black Dog t-shirt merchandise. They sell that heavy here. If you want to see Lily Pulitzer, if you love Lily Pulitzer dresses and things of that nature, I don't know if that's really for my young Black professionals, but if you're into that kind of stuff, they have a store in Eggerstown. Some of these are really like that really exclusive high-end like fashions. Vineyard Vines, if you're a Vineyard Vines person, they have very beautiful like shops that like are decked out. For all of my HBCU Divine 9 people and folks that just love good swag, C'est La Vie is a Black-owned shop here in Martha's Vineyard. They make some of the best quality Martha's Vineyard t-shirts, swag, and stuff. They got trademark license. So if I like as an alpha, wearing my Martha's Vineyard alpha shirt and Martha's Vineyard is my signal. It's my signal to my bros that are there. Like, who is in the building, And it's so cool. They have all kind of cool stuff, just merch and things and takeaways and trinkets and stuff. So there's a lot of fun like shops here. Like, make some room in your suitcase for it. There are some really fun like sweaters and cool stuff to take back and wear and things like that. So yeah. Well, that is everything. Hopefully, this was of use for you all, and definitely making me think about my memories, and hopefully I will see you all next year down the road. And, as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.